Ever since the bus ride, I stopped using my mobile and gave it to my brother. Until then, I would be spending time studying and playing with my toy cars. And my collection was mainly in the Lamborghinis, and I have some great collections of these in my closet. It was my big brother's birthday, so hence every one of his classmates, including the families, came to this party. I locked the room of mine because of my computer and notes lying around, made a mess on the bed. Moreover, my cars were in the rack with a small glass door opening. I then forgot the fact that my big brother Raghavan actually kept his camera in my room, so I had to unlock it again and get it. My bad, I forgot to lock it. The dinner came with some spicy food and snacks while senior, dads, were gulping on some cranberry juice while kids were outside talking and playing. But then I knew I forgot to lock the door. Hence I went back and saw the door was open, the rack door was open, and one of my favorite Lamborghini was missing. Luckily, it was not the Vision GT, but it was a Scion FKP. Yet I was worried, so I went outside this time, locked the door, and went outside my room. Guess where it was? At the dining table in front of the relatives. I got no idea why this came here, so I took it and came back. This time I saw these two kids who live in the nearby apartment. One who was very friendly to my mother, helping her with the house and stuff. Other one being her elder sister, who just involves herself into other people's business and makes a fuss over everything. She fears for nothing except her husband. The women were in the kitchen, so I was able to interact with these two punks. You may realize what they did next and why I call them punks. EK1. Open the door. EK2. I am unable to. This lock is too hard to open. They are opening the lock with plastic forks. Me. What are you guys doing? EK1. We actually want to get inside this room. There are a lot of cars in the glass rack of the room. EK2. Yeah, they're looking so good. My parents won't buy me one because they are expensive. These idiots own a Samsung Galaxy Tab each, and their parents own a BMW X3. At this moment, I knew if I opened the door, I would lose more, so I snuck this in behind my back and was about to escape out, but I bumped into the big EM. EM, watch where you're going. Me, oops, sorry. EK, sees the car and shouts, there it is. Give me that car I was looking for. Everywhere. Me, no, I won't let anyone have this. I kept it in my room rack so no one except me could have it. You opened my room without permission and took this car. EM, hey, lower your voice here. You hand them their car or you will get a slap from me. Me, what? Try it. At this moment, the only way to escape is to go to the roof of the building and come back when it is clear. So I did it, and after 10 minutes, I saw no one. I came back down to unlock the door and inside locked it. I kept the car in the rack and cleaned the entire room. Kept the books on the table and the laptop inside the cupboard. There was a knock on my door and it was my cousin telling me to come down to the road as his friends were dancing and enjoying the show. I told him I would arrive after 10 minutes and took a break in the restroom. As I opened the door, I see these brats, this time so fast that I was unable to stop them getting inside my room. To make matters worse, they somehow tripped me while I tried to nab one of them, and as I pushed both of them out, I saw EM standing out. Thanks to my muscles and energy, I was able to catch up to these brats. EM, what are you doing to my nephews? Get your hands off them. Me, they tried to take my cars and I pushed them out. What's wrong with that? EM, my kids love what they see. It's your fault for buying them. You don't have to show your expensive toys and get them jealous. The collection of these total cars of 10 comes under 8K rupees, which I started collecting from 2019. Where's 40K for 2 tabs and 8K for 10 cars, 1/18 scale? Me, how about teaching your children some manners to not touch other stuff? I closed the rack and also closed this door. They opened the door and took my belongings. DM, it's their wish. They can do whatever they want to. At this moment, I heard my parents come up and my brother came up to see who was shouting. B, who was shouting here. DM, OP of me. Promised my kids one of the cars and now told he won't give it. Brother, he never promises about giving out his cars. No matter how much you try, he will not give an I guarantee. He did not promise you that. You're just making the stuff up. EM tried to say something, but at this exact moment, I saw EK1 holding my V12 Vision GT. Before I could do anything, I saw this EM push my brother and took the car and tried to run. I chased her up the stairs very fast and did not stop chasing her. It was at this moment I saw her husband and EM, acting like the victim, went behind her husband H. DM, this guy promised us to give this car and now wants it back. Me. You took it from me without permission. I told you not to take it. Plus, being so rich, why can't you afford it? Husband. Why are you creating a fuss for a small car, EM? It's his, so give it to him. EM. No, I will not. He promised me. Me. I promise nothing. Husband. Give it to him now or else. The next two incidents were something I would never forget. EM threw that car flat on the ground and I saw the wheels of that car pop out. Too late to catch it. I fell on the ground to see the body was broken a bit and it caused me huge sadness, making me cry for it. It was the last gift my grandfather got me before his death 5 weeks ago. EM, you deserve that? Husband screamed loudly at her. Shut up! This is where you shut up and stop your nonsense right now, or so help me God, I will divorce you. As I heard the sound, I saw the red eyes on EM's face as I looked up. She frowned because of the embarrassment. Husband looked at the car and saw the major damages, with the fighter jet-like door and back door attachments broken and a broken wheel. He told me that he would buy me that same car. I was okay and sad about that because it's still not the one my grandpa gave me. Salute to the old patriot. He was remembered by a lot of people through a variety of ways. I kept that car as a remembrance of my grandfather. Until that day, every day I hugged and slept with that toy car as it was a feeling Grandpa was sleeping next to me. My dad was depressed as he had the same feeling. He brought my dad a keyring of me and my family and him in a photo inside a clock-shaped ring. My father consoled me as I put the wrecked car inside the case. And today, morning I got the car as H bought it for me, but not in the same color. Yet I thanked him for this. EM was badly humiliated by the family for such incorrigible behavior, and EK1 and EK2 apologized to me. To be very fair, they stopped playing those games and came out to cycle after so many days. I tried to sleep or study during the night with the new car near me. I am unable to sleep perfectly or study nicely. I'm only hoping to fix the car after I complete my final examinations, which are up within 1 month. The wheels are fixed and so are the windows. Only the doors need fixing. So, this is an old incident from when I was 14 or so. Just a background, I lived in a colony that consisted of rows of buildings consisting of 4 little 2 BHK apartments, not that big as you think. The whole community was of lower middle class but good, happy, and helpful people. The rows of buildings were in a triangle with a triangular park, just a patch of dirt, not the ones with trees and flowers. Now, the story. I used to play with some of my friends outside the houses when the older kids would be using the park for their cricket matches. Though we had space for our cricket and soccer matches, we still avoided the park as they used leather balls and the boundary walls of the park made us feel secure. One evening, we were playing near a vertex outside my friend's house. A family had just moved into the apartment over my friends and had 2 kids, like 8, 10 years old. Since we weren't actually playing any sports but our makeshift games, we let them join our game of running around and catching each other. When one of those kids got caught, he threw a tantrum and wailed with a storm siren. His mother came to the balcony and without losing a beat, started screaming dirty profanities at us on how dare we make her son cry. We did not understand what it meant, but our friend, Dan, name shortened, who was the neighbor of that EP and the one whose house we went to, understood everything and burst into a waterfall of tears and ran home. We understood nothing to us. It felt like she spoke in an alien language and it made our friend cry. We ran after him and he was crying bitterly, holding his mom. His mom gently asked us not to worry about him and we can leave and Dan will be back to play tomorrow. The next day, we get to know that Dan's mom went to talk to the EP, and she told her that we hurt her precious son's knee when we pushed him. Dan's mom knew it wasn't true, but the kid had a bruised cut, so she didn't say anything more. She asked us not to interact with EP's sons. The kid had no cut until we saw him. That day, we went to the park to play soccer and had a fun time. The next day, we had to play outside the house, and there came those 2 hellspawns. We ignored them like ghosts, mostly because their mom was sitting on the balcony looking at us like a sniper waiting to shoot. While playing, one of our friends was hit by the hellspawn with a half brick. It hit his shin and turned blue but no blood. He was in terrible pain but not crying. The EP giggled at him. Dan shouted at her to keep her son in check. She replied with a, "Will you be beaten by a kid?" Dan, on cue, ran toward the kid to push him and the Karen roared from the balcony warning him not to touch the kid. The other kid then hit Dan with a stick on his back and she laughed again but would spit fire if we came close to her kids. We went back home. The next day, we played outside the house and those hellspawns came with pieces of thick nylon ropes with the chain-on knots on them. They were swinging them around and hitting us while the witch overlooked all from the balcony. We felt like we couldn't do anything. The kids started swinging their ropes at me and I just stood there absorbing the blows. I was a silent, shy kid back then who was bullied a lot. My other friends came to my rescue and pushed the kids away. They started swinging harder and Dan punched one square in the face. EP screeched and ran down the stairs and picked up the kid and ordered the other to hit us as much as he could, and we couldn't do anything as she would make sure we never walk again. We scrambled. I didn't tell anyone about my bruises. The next day, Dan's mom is in a terrible condition, evidently having cried for a long time. She was a single mom and was berated by the EP and her husband on how bad of a mother she is for being single and not teaching her son good things. They called her every bad word. She had called for her brother to come to her place. He arrived early in the morning of that day, and they both found weird spells tied on their door, windows, and Dan's bicycle support wheels. I don't know much about those spell chits, but they had tables and texts on them and were said to be like curses or something. She asked Dan to play with us as she didn't want him to see the pain she was in. Surprisingly, the hellspawn didn't come out that day. But by the end of our playtime, a few people from the neighbors came to Dan's house to investigate Dan's mother as they were tipped that she was mistreating her kid. They stayed at the house till around 9 p.m., talking about stuff. The next day, Dan's mom thanked us for being Dan's good friends and asked us to play well with him before he goes to his grandma's. That day, the hellspawns came with a knife. Yes, a knife. And Karen was watching them. We stayed away from them and played in the park. Then, after 15 minutes or so, the hellspawns came to the park and one of them threw the knife at us and it scraped the arm of one of our friends, scraping the skin on the surface, all while Karen was watching. The wound is not deep, but is still bleeding. We ran to Dan's mom. The people in and nearby the park saw it all and gathered around the house. Our parents were called. The wounded kid's parents called the police. The police arrived at a house with at least 20 people standing in front of it, and a Karen screaming profanities at everyone, claiming that the kid is lying to get her innocent son in trouble and that the wound was something that he inflicted on himself. She flooded the policemen with her lies that her children are innocent and we all were lying. There were no CCTV cameras back then, but the people gathered there were a sufficient number of witnesses, plus the still bleeding wound on the kid's arm. The EP was arrested and the husband was also picked up from his place of work. I, 20. Too male, am a very introverted person, causing me to make more friends on the internet rather than in person. I live with my mom, 50, and my stepdad, 42, male. My stepdad is a very overly right-wing anti-video game, anti-internet Bible thumper who has recently demanded I stop playing video games in my spare time and start reading the Bible. I myself am a Christian, but he has pushed it so far that he's threatening me with eviction if I dare tell him to mind his own business and to respect my hobbies. He has resorted to completely unplugging the internet whenever he hears me talking with friends or playing a game. He claims I'm a junkie and an addict who defies God and lives in sin, but all I do is talk with my buddies on Discord. A majority of the time, we aren't even playing games, just talking. His little anti-internet crusade has caused me to be unable to apply for jobs in a professional setting. My mom has done nothing to help me, only blindly following my stepdad because she herself is a huge narcissist, but that's a whole other story. They are both constantly saying that video games are as bad as methamphetamine. The worst part is when they unplug the internet, they laugh and think it's funny when they hear me walk downstairs to confront them. My brother, 19, male, has moved in with my bio dad, 50, male, completely due to the internet constantly being unplugged and affecting his school grades. I won't move in with my bio dad due to his very abusive verbal behavior towards women, although he has been getting help, can't live with it. I can't afford to move out, and I don't have any friends to roommate with, so I'm stuck living with an anti-internet nutcase.